But now getting to Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh, it was announced that, he's the starter now. And obviously, I think it's one of those decisions where I felt as though Justin Fields was going to potentially get that pick or that role later on in the season if the Steelers are kind of like not at that right positioning. But Wilson's the veteran. He's the veteran guy. He has that experience. And he looked shaky in the preseason for sure, but I do think to start off the regular season, that was the move Mike Tomlin was going to go with. What were kind of your thoughts on that pick?
Same here, man. Russ did not show that he improved any from the Denver Broncos to the Steelers. There were still some unanswered questions. Some, man, is he gas? Is he a has been now? Where is he? Where is his talent going to be able to take these, Pittsburgh Steelers? And what is their cap? And I think looking back at what Ben Roethlisberger did his last couple of years, he wasn't the best quarterback. He just did
Right.
exactly what was needed for that squad, taking what the defense, giving them relying on the running game heavy with Le'Veon Bell and a couple of other guys. But I think that's exactly what they have to do with Najee Harris and in Cordell Patterson, who is one of the best utility guys in NFL history. I think he's a Hall of Fame guy just because of that. He's done pretty much every position except offensive line and defensive line, but I'm pretty sure he could do it. But with Russell Wilson, he's a starting quarterback because he's the veteran quarterback. That's it. And I think Justin Fields didn't do enough to convince Mike Tomlin and those coaches that he can take the helms and take us to at least a playoff run. I think giving with the running game and the wide receivers, I think Russell Wilson doesn't make many mistakes. He's just not going to have big numbers and have a wow game. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers do very well when they don't have a wow quarterback. When Ben Roethlisberger was at his peak, they had an extreme great running game with Mendenhall.
Oh, yeah.
They had great wide receivers on the outside. They had a tight end. I can't remember his name, but he was such a dog. But they had a great defense. I think that's what they want to get back to. Our defense making plays, doing what they need to do because they win championships, and then the offense not making mistakes and relying on the running game. I don't think Russell Wilson has to do much. But if that running game is not existent, I mean, last year it was steady. At points, it was like he had low points at moments, but I think that running game can get started with Najee Harris. But if that running game doesn't work, they don't have to rely on Russell Wilson. I don't think he has enough in the tank for them to do so. So let's bank on this running game. Let's bank on George Pickens winning on the outside, winning against these DBs and getting as wide as open as. And I think Russell Wilson is still one of the best dimers in the game. It's just
I was
little
about to say,
McKinney. Yeah.
I mean that dime presence and just his ability to place it. You know how the old announcers said it, or Lee Corso said it, like right in the breadbasket, like that. That's kind of that thing that he does.
Yes,
So
that's so
that,
old
like
school.
so shows. Hey, listeners, shows you how long I've been watching college football and just football in
Absolutely.
general. But I do think he has that ability and that presence when he does that. Looking at the AFC North, though, I want to talk about the Bengals, the Ravens. Obviously, we are a few days away from the kickoff to the season. How do you kind of see that particular division playing out? Because I remember last year I made a claim that I thought that was going to be the best division in football.
Yes, you
And
did. It wasn't bad.
it wasn't bad, but
It
it
wasn't.
wasn't it wasn't the right pick. And then you got then you got Cleveland as well. But to you, like, how do you kind of see this division playing out, and just the number one team you like in it?
It has to be the Baltimore Ravens. I think out of all the teams, they answer the most questions. They got a bunch of guys on the defensive side, a bunch of secondary guys. They lost a couple guys, but Kyle Hamilton, I feel is going to have
Yeah,
another big season. Humphrey, it will be completely healthy, so he would be a great defender on the outside of the quarterback one. I think that defensive line has got better. Obviously, they lost a couple linebackers like Patrick Quinn, but I think they answer a lot of questions, especially on the offensive side, getting Derrick Henry, getting some other
yeah.
wide receivers, and I feel like he can only get better. And you know who I'm talking about, Lamar Jackson. I think he had a great season last year, just didn't end up capitalizing on the great things he done in that season. And I think he only gets better. I don't think he has a decline. He's still in his prime. So I think out of all these teams, you got to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Bengals is on the cusp. They're right next to it. I don't see anything the Browns or the Steelers going to do like phenomenal. I expect them to win 8 games. The
Yeah.
Browns and the Steelers. I expect them to get over 500. That's it. But for the Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens, they're going to have a playoff run. I think I'm still liking Baltimore more. I just can't go against them. I think Lamar Jackson's getting better. They answer a lot of questions. I think they got rid of their OC
Hmm.
who winning gets the game plan. You're the number one running team, and you run. It's still a wild stat line. Not even stat line. Wild headline. How are you? Okay, let's get off that. But anywho, I think the Baltimore Ravens is going to be the best in AFC North, and if they don't, it's going to be extremely surprising. There's going to be some injuries or something, but God forbid. But if they're not the number one team in AFC North, then it had to be some injuries for sure. I don't see them
Yeah, I
like,
think that's the only thing that could plague them. That's really the only thing that could get in their way is the injuries. And now kind of getting to how we feel about the Josh Allen, the new Josh Allen poll, most overrated QB, most overrated QB. I'm gonna say this, man. I feel as though Josh Allen gets too much hate.
yeah,
I'm still gonna continue to say it. I think he gets too much hate. I remember watching that Bills Chiefs game and feeling as though Allen did most of what he needed to do. Yes,
yeah,
that throw against that was it. I think it was an interception that he threw. It was just to no, Stephon Diggs. He dropped
yeah,
that one. He
yeah.
actually
He
dropped
did.
that
He
one.
did. He
So
did.
so it was kind of like it was one of those things where Allen did what he had to do, but I think there were some miscues on some of the receivers for the Bills. But overall, most overrated QB, I can't go with it.
Yeah, no,
I
there's too
can't
many out there.
I can't go with Allen being the most overrated QB. I mean, sometimes I think Dak Prescott gets too much hype in the regular season, and
Absolutely.
sometimes it gets blown out of proportion because
Glad
he's
you said
having
that.
these great regular season stats, but he can't
Yes,
carry it into the postseason. So I would
absolutely.
say Dak is one of those guys for sure.
Yeah,
Um, to
Justin.
you, yeah, just for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, Justin Herbert. I mean,
Yeah,
you. I see why people say that because obviously he's 4,000 yards. Since what? Since 2020, but he's only been over the pass rate of 100 once, and that was in 2020. Everything had been 92, 96, 92, and his interceptions have gone up each season. His
right.
decision making, and that was our thing at Full Scope. We talked about several times. It's not that Josh Allen is a bad quarterback. He's been doing great throughout his tenure with the Bills. It's just him going against Patrick Mahomes, things happening. He's a good quarterback. He's not
Yeah,
overrated. He's a good quarterback. I look at him as a Brett Favre. Brett Favre threw like 29, 35 touchdowns, but he had a lot of interceptions to go with it. They take risks. It's a risk and a reward game. Like these guys are trying to fit it in places that they have no business to. Sometimes it's a success, sometimes it's not. But I don't think he's the most overrated. You got Justin Herbert. You have Jimmy Garoppolo. You have Baker Mayfield. The list goes on. Josh Allen is not the top of that list. I don't think he's even on that list, to be honest with you. I think they do that because the hype that the Bills had so many years and don't make it past a certain point, and they blame that on Josh Allen. Some instances, yes, but when Josh Allen's in the playoffs, man, his QBR rating is higher in the playoffs than in his regular season. And I understand it's lesser games, but he turns it on in the playoffs. Is no game that they've played, and you said this too, and now I got to eat the crow that Josh Allen has not had a bad game in the playoffs since his run in the playoffs. He has not.
I don't
So
see it.
how
Yeah,
is he the most overrated quarterback when you got Justin Herbert over here? You got Trevor Lawrence is one of the most is overrated as well. Mac Jones was an overrated player. I wasn't big on Mac Jones coming out of Bama. Like Bama quarterbacks don't do Tua Tagovailoa is an overrated quarterback. Come on, there's other quarterbacks that can get in that
oh
spot.
yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned Tua. I'm so glad you mentioned Tua
Man,
because that that Kansas City playoff game where we knew in the cold he was going to struggle. We all
Absolutely.
knew it.
Absolutely.
Like he was going to struggle in the cold, and it ended up happening. That's exactly what happened. So when you have that, I'm like, in the regular season, warm weather, you're just the great quarterbacks are able to play great in both weather conditions. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
rain, hail,
Sleet,
sleet.
snow, it don't matter. A
Doesn't
hurricane.
matter. Like Brady will put up 40 in a hurricane. Like it doesn't matter. So when you have that type of positioning and that type of just outcome overall, it can make it seem as though you are inconsistent and you're not as good as you're claimed to be in the regular season. So Herbert, I'm Herbert. That's another guy, but Allen overall, I don't think he's on that list. You
No.
can't put him there.
Justin Herbert should is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah,
Let's change that.
stamp that. Stamp that.
Yeah, and I've been saying that since last year. Like when we make so many excuses for Justin Herbert, it's amazingly crazy, and that's not even a good two words together. Amazingly crazy. That's mad. That's mad crazy. Justin Herbert has not proven himself since he's been in the league. He's the most overrated, more excuse-driven quarterback in the league to this day. And right behind him is Trevor Lawrence. That's what I'm gonna say. Those two are the most overrated quarterbacks.
And you know Trevor Lawrence is like top 3 in the highest paid quarterbacks of the league. So
And please don't make an excuse that he's with the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence has had weapons since he's been in the league. He got a guy who is so polished after not playing in the NFL that he had Calvin Ridley last year. I can give you a laundry list of players in a running game that Trevor Lawrence had since he's been in the league. There's no excuses for him. Justin Herbert is the same exact way. There's no excuses. Boy had one of the best wide receivers go up get it wide receivers in the league, and Mike Williams.
yes, you know.
I've oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say my next prediction for Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert, when we look back at his career, he's going to be the next Tony Romo. Where
Absolutely.
I think he's going to be the next like Tony Romo, like really great regular season stats. And I go back to that playoff game against um the Jacksonville Jaguars,
Yeah. They
where
blew it.
they blew it, where they had a major lead and then they ended up blowing it. And I think that's going to be his like. Obviously, he's got a big season coming up with a new coach with Harbaugh, but I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make if he's not able to play big in these postseason games. So
Yeah.
Herbert Romo, that's kind of my comp right now.
No, that's a good one. That's a good spot on, brother.
Um, and now getting to man, gotta get some see. I gotta get some. Now getting to the chances of the Bears making the playoffs. Um, you heard you heard that laugh right there.
I'm laughing at both of those.
Yeah, I don't see happening this year for them.
No.
Green Bay. Now, again, I want to say this: we are being both very just rational, trying to be rational about this. If you listen to Nick Wright, who I'm a big fan of, Nick Wright believes the Bears are going to the Super Bowl. He believes the Bears are
Oh,
going
Nikki
to the
with
Super
the
Bowl.
hair. Nikki with the hair.
Do you like Nick?
Now, Nick has some good points, but that's outlandish. That's outlandish, bro. to think that he's so high on Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams is going to crack between week 7 and week 12, and those are the big weeks, big weeks, and they're not going to win. Maybe against the Vikings, but they're going to get swept by the Lions, and they're going to get swept by the Packers. You're not going to win your
Go
division.
Pack, go.
Yeah, go Pack, go. Can't wait till next Friday. Brazil! But now, they're not going to win their division. They're not even remotely close to winning the division. How are they going to make it to the playoffs, let alone make it to the Super Bowl? I just don't see them.
Do that one more time. Do that one more time.
Welcome to Brazil. But I just don't see, bro. Okay, let's break this down. Okay, you get Keenan Allen. you pay one of your best wide receivers. You get a mediocre running game in Swift.
Mhm.
Swift didn't break 1,000 yards last year. He had one of the best offensive lines in the league. You didn't answer many questions for your offensive lines. You got a quarterback in Caleb Williams who we don't know who he's going to be yet. I think I'm leaning more to the side. He's going to be a bust this year. Not saying overall in his career, but this year he's going to be
Right.
a bust.
This particular.
He is only so much running you can do. His decision making since college has been ghastly. Under pressure, he doesn't make the right decisions. Yes, he can extend plays. Yes, he can go outside the pocket and do those things. But can you do that for 18 weeks? Let alone their schedule is not a weak schedule. They play some big time teams. So I just don't see at the quarterback position in that running game, which was non existent last year. I don't think DeAndre Swift was the answer. Just saying, but you get Keenan Allen. That was the upside. You don't answer many questions on the offensive line who gave up so many sacks for Justin Fields. And you gave up on a quarterback who I think is better than Caleb Williams right now. So I just don't see them going to the playoffs, let alone winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think this particular year for them, it's one where um, it's gonna have to be it's gonna have to be more development, and we can't. I'm not gonna rush the trajectory of a quarterback like Caleb Williams. When there were times last year where in his last year at USC where I didn't see him kind of deliver when he needed to, and he looked as though like there was more regression than him going forward. So
Absolutely.
I think for leading up to this particular year, it's going to be that still that same questioning about like can he actually take the next leap his rookie season, and can it actually make them a team that's compared to Green Bay and compared to what Jordan Love is going to do. I definitely think Green Bay, like, that's the cream of the crop for the NFC North. Like that's going to be a team that's a strong dark horse and a real threat to make a deep run. So Chicago, we got to pump the brakes. We got to pump the brakes on the Bears.
Yeah.
Got to
Even
pump the
with the Rome Aduze addition, like, man, Caleb Williams got to get it to him. Like,
brakes. Yeah,
and I know people who watch is going to say, well, you say the same thing about Brock Purdy. It doesn't matter if he has weapons. I'm telling you, there's a difference between Brock Purdy's not an elite quarterback. Brock Purdy is just a decently good quarterback. Not saying he was a bad quarterback. Caleb Williams is not on the level of Brock Purdy. Because Brock Purdy has had extensive time at the quarterback helm and went through the progression in the process of doing so. And Brock Purdy, since he's been in the league, makes better decisions than Caleb Williams ever did. Now I'm saying Brock Purdy when he was playing in college, he made some terrible decisions now, but he improved. This year, all I'm saying is this first year for Caleb Williams, he will not adjust that quickly because he mentally, we see him break down on multiple games. Yeah,
yeah,
he'll throw touchdowns, but some of those things he put himself in those positions. And you in the NFL, you have to help out your offensive line. I don't see Caleb Williams doing that consistently to where his
right.
offensive line is going to have the ability to block for him without him trying to extend plays too early or trying to get out the pocket too early. The pocket presence is a big thing in the NFL. Those
Oh,
are
for
the
sure.
things that Caleb Williams has to work on. I don't think that will be right off the back in the first year. I digress.
Too quick, too quick for that to happen. Honestly, so I,
Mm-hmm.
I would I would I would definitely agree with that. And now moving on to the NBA. Kind of thoughts on Steph Curry's extension. Agreed to a 1 year deal. Is it's going to keep him in with the Warriors through the 2026 to 27 season, worth 62.6 million. Um,
That's a lot of money.
lot of money, lot of money to put a ball through a hoop. Lot of cash right there.
A lot of cheddar.
Lot of cheddar. Michael Porter Jr. He said something about like he was saying, I think he was talking about just the playing basketball for a living and just kind of like how he was saying like, man, like if I couldn't eat off this or something or something, like I wouldn't do it. And people were like, bro, you get to play basketball for a living. Like you have like one of the the
A
greatest
child's
jobs,
game.
one of the greatest jobs in the world.
Absolutely, bro. You play sports for a living.
It's
And
amazing.
make millions off of. You see the world. Travel the
Incredible.
country. Yeah, bro. Like that's the best. I would love to have that job. I would
Yeah.
love to be in the NFL. and it's not everybody make it. So for him to say that, like, bro, that's crazy work. I
But
think some
back
of
to
these.
Steph though.
Oh,
Yeah, no, go ahead. You're
I
about to
think
cook. You're about to cook. You're about
no. I'm
to
just saying, like, some of these
cook.
players take this for granted. Like, this is just, bro. I understand there's woes in highs and lows in sports, but compared to somebody who's doing construction, compared to a teacher in this environment, compared to all these other jobs that's in America that you make 10, 20 times more than they do, and they deserve it more.
Yeah.
Bro, come on, like, bro, it's a child's game. You're getting paid millions to play a child's game. Millions, millions. You had a full scholarship. You didn't get NIL, but you had a full scholarship to play. Most of these kids pay out of pocket, student loans. Like
Yes.
these athletes take these things for granted. So man, that's some crazy work. Once you get out of full and that transition out of sports,
Hmm.
he's gonna be depressed. He's gonna realize it. Man, I had it good. Like there's a lot of players, football,
That's
baseball.
such an adjustment. That's such an adjustment
Yes,
after, you know. I was
absolutely.
in that movie Concussion with Will Smith and just seeing how players deal with things like and I was just like, that was the first time I was like watching a movie like that about NFL players post football as well, and just seeing
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my goodness, man, like some of them don't even, there are situations that they think they can't get out of, that like they're like, this is so insurmountable with the trauma or just kind of like the physical like punishment of the NFL, that kind of, it pushes them to some dangerous brinks, honestly. And
Yeah.
it's just like, it's crazy how much is demanded out of a sport like that. But Steph Curry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Steph Curry, a 1 year extension, man, and I think this was a very strategic move for them, for Steph, because I think going forward and into the latter half of his career and what he wants to do, because he said something about like, hey, I'm not going to play for like a bottoming team. I can't play for a team that's just not competitive anymore and they're not competing. It's got to be the type of team that is still competitive, still able to, you know, be in title contention
Yeah.
going forward. From what I saw last year with this Golden State team, I don't know if he's going to be able to say that about them next year. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that going forward in terms of like, obviously not this particular, but even like what are they going to do going forward that's going to make them so, drastically better. I would say that Steph potentially could be on the move, and we mentioned Steph and LeBron pairing up, or him to the Lakers, but I could see even without that, because I mean that is like a pipe dream. I could see Steph on the move even outside of that.
Hmm. I think he retires.
Mm.
I think
He's
I don't.
loyal. He's very loyal.
You've been you've been with a team for your entire career, and you went on runs, and you have amazing accolades from it. For you to leave at the tail end of your career because you guys are not winning, I just don't see it happening. I feel like he's going to retire in 27. That's what I feel. I just feel it coming. Like I feel like he has done everything he needed to do in the game for that organization, for NBA. Obviously, LeBron retires
Yeah.
2 years, probably 26, right? Right after that, even if it's not 27, 28. I don't feel like he's going to leave because his contract is until 2028, right?
28. Yep.
Yeah. I feel like he retires either 27 or 28. There's nothing if you don't want to go to a team, nobody has the room for you cap rise. You just
Right.
got paid 68 mil. There's no other team that's wanting to pay that much money for or a guy who's going to be falling out of his prime. There's no other way but to retire or less stay
You
with the
have to.
Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing for you to do. There's nothing else for you. Give it to the next generation.
Yeah.
You've been the star of the West for years. It's give it to Jokic. Give it to Murray. Like, there's a lot of plethora of guys. Give it to Anthony. Like, there's a lot of guys who can take the West and run with it. I just don't see him. I don't want you to play until 27, 28, bro. Retire.
Yeah, he's got to, because I think it's getting to a point now where he already has like built up that kind of staying power and that kind of just like cachet to know that he really does have a lengthy career, and one that hasn't really been able to be replicated, or I don't even think it is going to be replicated, just based on the fact that this is so rare to see a guy who's 20 plus years has consistently put in the work, consistently just defied odds, and even at the age he's doing it at, still looking like one of the best players. And then we saw what he did in the Olympics. He's not slowing down at all physically. So I would say at some point you got to hang it up. At some point you got to know that there's another generation coming right behind you that is going to want that limelight that you had enjoyed and Steph enjoyed for so many years.
Yeah, man. In it on top. In it on
Yeah,
top. Just go away. Get you a Kobe, send off. Get you a KG send off. Like get
yeah.
you a proper send off and just ride in the sunset. Be a father. Get some businesses. Well, he already got businesses. Just yeah. Be a civilian.
That transition, you know,
Mm.
that transition, be the Vegas owner. I know he wants to be a Vegas owner
Yeah. Yeah.
eventually,
Absolutely.
so you got to do that going forward. But Anthony Edwards, man, he was in the headlines. He made some comments about different errors. And so he was saying that he said, they say it was tougher back then than it is now, but I don't think anybody had skill back then. Michael Jordan was the only one, aka his lookalike, was the only one that really had skill. You know what I mean? So that's why when they saw Kobe, they were like, "Oh my god!" But not everybody has skill. I have so many thoughts on this, man. I have so many thoughts on this, and
Cook. Cook.
this couldn't be farther from the truth. It couldn't be farther from the truth, because when I look at the '80s and when I look at the '90s, there are particular players in there who I'm like, they were mountain moving type of talented players, like Magic Johnson, the skill he had as a passer, how he was able to thread the needle. There were so many things that he did in that era, that Showtime Lakers era, that was just generational and transcendent. And then you look at Jordan, obviously. I
Yeah.
mean, I know he mentioned Jordan, so I don't want to mention Jordan, but Kareem. I mean, the skyhook, the all-time scoring leader. You know what I mean? Which that frustrated Savon. That frustrated Savon. But Isaiah Thomas, come on now. Like, we're talking about Zeke.
Dribbling king, bro.
We're talking about one of the best ball handlers ever, Zeke. Come on now. There's too many guys to mention in that list.
Hakeem.
Hakeem, for sure. You can go on and on about that type of category, about that type of list, because these guys unequivocally had skill. Unequivocally
Absolutely.
had skill. You know what I mean? I want even want
Absolutely.
to. I want to go with the like Patrick Ewing. I want to go like John Starks, Clyde Drexler. And don't do this,
Julius
and
Irving.
don't and we love you, but don't do this.
Moses
This is
Malone.
not the fight you want to pick. This is not the fight you want to
Hey,
pick,
wait,
because
wait. Larry Bird, who used to
Larry
shoot off his
Bird,
left and right arm, used to bank shots. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Magic Johnson. Have you not seen the film on Magic Johnson?
bro, it's insane. It's insane. Like I can't even definitively like just with confidence to say that though, and just be like, hey, like I
Young
didn't
Bull, man.
wasn't in that era, but I don't think they had that skill. And I'm like, yes, like the league
He
has
does, for sure.
developed and it's had an uptick in the amount of skill. Yeah, the skill set is crazy. But I do want to say this, man. You just can't take away from what that era was. You can't take away from it. You can't diminish it and just like,
No,
okay, like let's bring it down a notch. You can't do that.
no, bro. So I know Young Buck didn't do his research for sure. And before you even talk about the skill set, you got to talk about the culture. All this stuff
Yeah.
they do now was not allowed in the 80s.
Mm-mm.
The rules were totally different. Like all these, like the culture of basketball was so different. Like Isaiah Thomas talked about it, like the dribbling and all that stuff. He was like, bro, we couldn't do that. We could not do that. Like, it's like you have not did your research, bro. We named so many guys. Magic alone, trendsetter, no look passes, coming down the court with flash. Like, bro, Kareem.
Yeah.
Larry Bird, like Moses Malone, Patrick, like all these guys in the 80s had skill that
Hmm.
could play in this era, especially with these rule changes, bro. Hand
Oh yeah.
checking, like all these, like, bro, they couldn't, the culture in basketball was so different. So when Anthony said that, he was thinking because some of these guys are not known to the new school of basketball. His era of basketball, his era that they go untalked about. But that's crazy work to say there was no skill in the 80s. We just named like 10 to 15. There is way more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You got to do your research before you talk outside your neck. And then
Young
KG
bull.
said something. Young Buck, come on now. Like, Magic alone. Mike wasn't even seasoned yet.
Mm.
Mike didn't have handles yet when he got in the 80s. That was a tail end. Like, he started getting handles at the tail end of the
Yeah.
80s. Magic
That's
Johnson had the best. Isaiah Magic had the best handles. Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
the thing about Mike is like you said, there were things that Mike was developing in his repertoire that was happening later on in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Later on. And so when you see that, it's just like, man, did you like watch any footage, any
Nope.
old highlights? YouTube is your best friend, man. YouTube is your best friend sometimes.
Absolutely.
Just go back. It's fully
How
there.
how can you be a student of the game if you don't know the where the game has transitioned to?
That's
Like,
why I
I
have
know
so much
with
respect for Bron. That's why I have so much respect for
absolutely,
Bron, KD, and like, particularly, I know Bron is a student of the game.
absolutely,
I know he's talked about it so much, and that he's never going to like, even when he had that dunk against Charlotte back in 2012 with the Heat, and he looked at Jordan. It wasn't out of like disrespect to Jordan. It was just like, hey man, like I want your title. I want to
pay
be the GOAT.
homage. Yeah,
I
absolutely,
want to be the GOAT. So it's just like nothing to diminish what Jordan did, but like LeBron respects it, but also is going to pay homage. And Anthony Edwards, though, he's not doing that. Edwards was not doing that. Like that was just blatant. Like it looked like you just didn't do your homework and you just came to class with guessing.
bro. Like, exactly. And being the face, the potential future face of the NBA, you got
It's
to
bad.
have this.
It's a bad look. Yeah.
For you to say that out your mouth lets us know you're not ready for that. You got to be a student in the game. The 80s is why. No, the 70s and the 80s is why there's still basketball to this day.
Oh, for sure.
You got to know whoever your PR guy, whoever is your team. I would have pulled you to the side after, like, bro, that's not good because you're
Yeah,
crazy.
that's not good.
Look at the
That is
80s,
not
bro.
good.
Handles was like, yeah, it was like you didn't do your homework. It's more just for talent, and you could tell the difference of these players nowadays are just wanting to play their style of basketball and just like have no, there's just tunnel vision to
Hmm.
the evolution of basketball. And we keep going back in this because it's so crazy to say that nobody in the 80s besides Michael Jordan had skill. What skills are you talking about? There were three-way scorers in the 80s. There were two-way scorers in the 80s. There were guys who had handles in the 80s. There were guys who could shoot the three, but it wasn't as big in the 80s.
Right.
Come on, man. Like, what skills are you talking about? And I didn't see the full interview, but I would have asked him, like, what skills are you talking about? Like, break it down to me. I would have made him be a professor
I do
and
want to say
explain.
that
Yeah.
the interviewer was kind of lazy to not challenge him, to not
Bro,
touch him on that.
he
Like,
probably just happy that he was there.
yeah, just like, oh, got the interview. So
It's
it's
like,
just
I
like,
would have
come
been
on.
like, huh? I'm like, First, I was like, "You really think that?" And I was like, "So what skills are you talking about?" I would have challenged him for sure. You walk out, but you're gonna have to back up what you're saying, bro.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. And now getting to our first album review with Khalid's Sincere. It's been it's been 5 years since we had a Khalid album. And it's been a wait. But I think this was in between. It was in between. It was a six. It was like a 7 out of 10. It was a 7 out of 10 album. Honestly, I think there were some highs.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a 7 out of 10 album. Um, some highs in it, some lows in it, but I can tell he's taken. You can tell when there's been a gap in an album release, and it's been a while since we heard from him, and he does seem like in a different frame of mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, overall, um, and that happens. I think within that type of time frame overall, but it is still slow. It still has those mellow type of songs because he's gonna be a mellow artist overall with his music. But what did you kind of think about this project overall and just what he put together?
If we're giving out of 10, I'll give this a 5. Um, but it was a 5 because of the new style. Like it does not sound like him. Like it was one song, they was like, "Oh, okay, that's him." But it sounded like a totally different artist. Not saying that's bad, but it said R&B and soul, but it didn't feel like R&B and soul.
This
R&B
did
and
not feel
soul.
like a soul. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't feel like that. And the vibe was all right. The songs were like all right. Like he had a song that was definitely like a pop alternative on it at the tail end of the album. I forgot the name of it. But it was underwhelming. For 5 years, you drop this. It's like 18 to 20 songs. And people are probably expecting to hear the same Khalid, which is fine. You don't have to be the same person or the same artist because you've grown over the 5 years. But the sound has to be convincing enough to sell the listeners that you have developed and sustained through your career. I don't think this album did. I didn't enjoy this album at all. It was certain songs was like it was cool, but like he sampled he sampled one of it was like it was a Drake song. Forgot what he sampled. You know what I'm talking about?
I feel like I know which track you're talking about, but I don't remember the name of it.
Let me see. Please don't fall in love with me.
Oh, okay.
Wait, are you gonna play? Oh, that's unthinkable because Drake was on there. That was cool. Like that vibe was cool. That's like an R&B song. But I just felt like if you're gonna do R&B, it gotta be R&B. It was like it was just too many things in the wait of 5 years, and you drop this. I just yeah, it was sincere and all, but it wasn't that good.
Nah, man. See. Now you got me. You see, time out on the Khalid album. Time out on the Khalid album because this guy just brought back a whole era. That 2010 Unthinkable remix, bro. Tez keeps telling me he just turned 30, having dreams of being single forever. He's getting worried. Like, come on now, like when you getting close to that mark, and it's just like I don't. Am I gonna be like single forever? Like I feel that. I feel
Man,
you. I feel you. Right?
yeah, Wellington, chill.
Tez keeps telling me just turned 30. Like
Man, we're gonna probably talk about this in the green room, but I'm gonna say this in the green room too. Not just any female can attach to you, right? She got to be the right one to be attached to you. But I'm gonna leave it like that. Yeah,
the green room's gonna be cooking. The green room's gonna be cooking
I agree with go.
tonight.
Hopefully,
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
so far so good.
But yeah, I do think I can see what you're saying by it. It didn't seem as though like it was a bombastic return to if you're like gone away for 5 years and then you come back with something. It felt like it was okay. It was
Yeah,
okay. It wasn't anything like extraordinary, but it was just like it was okay. I'm gonna revisit some of it, but I'm not gonna like go
Yeah.
through all of it and like really kind of keep that in my replay value. But Khalid, we're happy to see him back. We're happy to
Yeah.
see him in a different state, but it just didn't hit certain marks that we're kind of looking for an R&B and soul album.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't pick that up. I didn't pick that
Mm.
up for sure. Getting to our next review with Post Malone's F1 Trillion. Post Malone is back.
You
Another.
got
What
me. You got me.
you mean?
You, I don't like country like that.
Oh yeah.
You got me. Cause I didn't see like what we just talked about R&B, so I didn't see the country. So I'm thinking like it was like a pop like the last time, and I'm thinking as soon as I heard, I was like, wait. Then I played the next. I was like, wait, this is country. Then I looked up. I was like, oh, this is definitely country.
But yeah,
I'm
it
sorry.
was
Keep going.
full fledged country throughout this one, man. And um, I don't know, like it's not the Post Malone that I liked Austin better from last year.
Yeah.
That country, like there. See, I was having a conversation with somebody about this about like there's different levels of country and different levels I can kind of tolerate. Last year's one was one I could tolerate more. This year, it just didn't do it for me. And it just was kind of like in that deep rooted country that he was just like what country fans will probably like. And for the ones like us who are just like not in that like deep rooted country vibe,
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't work.
Now I will say this. Well, he's true to his word. He tweeted 2015, when I turned 30, I'm becoming a folk singer. I think he has the voice for both. Like, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, this wasn't bad. This was, if
it
as
wasn't
far as
bad.
country music goes, this was like right up his alley. His voice is there, his range is there. He sounds good as a country music and a folk singer. I will listen to him sing folk because I like folk music. I know, like, I don't like country music, like folk music, because folk music, like, I don't know, it's a different aesthetic. Like, both tell stories, both, whatever, but it's just a different aesthetic to my ears that I like, and I'm just drawn to. But country music, it just,
Has the Beyonce album changed for you at all? Has it
you want me to waste
changed
my breath?
any bit?
Not changed, sir.
Not changed.
Yeah,
Nothing's changed
her
in
voice is
March.
not made for country music. Even though you come, I mean, like, your voice ain't made for country music. It's R&B or neo soul, and we talked about that. His
Yeah.
voice made for country. Like, it was always surprising him doing pop, and he'll do like a little rap or whatever. But that's the versatility of Post Malone. Instead of like talking about the album, I want to give it his flowers. The boy is versatile. The boy
Oh
is
yeah. Oh,
talented.
we want to talk about versatility. Oh yeah, for
Man,
sure.
pop, folk, country, R&B, bro. Crazy work, bro, to be able to get in all those pockets and your voice fits everything perfectly. It's not forced. Like, if you didn't know who Post Malone is and you heard this album the first time, you would think he was a country singer. Like, he'd been singing country all this time.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, man, this album was not for me, but it was for those people in the country world. Not like country, like living, but just like who love country music. It's a lot of black people that love country music. I'm not one of them.
Oh yeah, there. You would definitely find some that will be bumping country music. Morgan, well, we got a lot of new Morgan Wallen fans, so they're gonna be bumping that. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's the songwriting. The songwriting is also why is my voice cracking? The songwriting. The songwriting is
Mid
is
podcast. So right, it's so right.
the songwriting is there though, and I feel as though like that's the thing about Post is like it's very strong what he can do in terms of like being able to switch it up, being able to mash up different things. So when you have that, I mean, it's hats off to him for the versatility. I will
Yeah,
always say that hats off to him for the versatility. It may not be
absolutely.
our cup of tea, but he's definitely pushing forward with a really good switch up and just kind of knowing how to be versatile with different things. Now getting to Travis Scott's Days Before Rodeo. This was kind of re-released, and man, it's one of those things where I feel as though that era of Travis Scott was just like his best era. It's the one where he kind of was more vintage and like the sound that he was able to kind of like
Yeah,
curate and be like the mosh pit, all of those different things. he was able to like really kind of be at the peak of his powers with that, and even Astroworld in 2017. But
Yeah.
listening back to this, I'm like, yeah, Travis, this was an era that was kind of like a vintage one for him, um, and just the atmospheric feel of it was just like, okay, yeah, this is what we know from Travis Scott. That this is how we have like always remembered him for being in the lane that was kind of made for him and paved the way for him. What were kind of your initial thoughts on this album?
I would thought he created it himself.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I didn't because I don't thinking about other artists like I don't think any other artists started that and like because we didn't have that angelic or that type of verb, the loud, the distance. Like we didn't really have that unless it was like Janae, like a type of singer, because Janae loves that type of aesthetic too. But I mean, Travis made his own sound, and other artists that's copying him to this day. I mean, he's found an artist that sounds similar to him, maybe even better than in Don Toliver. I think Don Toliver has surpassed um Travis Scott. But I mean, I used to listen to this
like
album. Yeah, yeah. I used to listen to this album. Obviously, my favorite song by Travis Scott is Antidote. That song, bro. That song, man. Antidote. Yeah, that
yeah,
bro. I played it. Yeah, that was fun. Like that, he created that, bro. Like it was just crazy. But now this album was like dope. I remember when it first came out, and because it was just like him capitalizing off that album. I forgot what that album was called. With Antidote that's on it, and then you drop this, and then you drop Astro World. It's just like you just capitalize on the run because everybody that aesthetics like now we got different artists that's taking the baton and taking it further, like Don Toliver. There's some other artists like there's a couple other artists I can't think of right now, like Corchess or whatever, Cochise or whatever, Cochise. He's one of them as well that does this type of music. It's a bunch of artists that do it, but Travis Scott kind of started it and he kind of passed the baton. I think this was his era. This is when he was in his prime when like nobody really was doing it, and now he made it something. But this album was is still dope to this day. It still has that aesthetic. You can tell. Like I remember when I first heard it, I was in my dorm room. I remember playing it on the speakers. I remember not doing anything for the next hour or so. We're just like chilling, watching like when this came out, bro. Like I remember the exact moment. Like, bro, it was just like a freaking moment, man. Like Travis Scott had the crown. Like Travis Scott
that's
could do no
I love
wrong.
that.
Yeah.
I love albums where it's just like I remember like what I was doing when was listening to it. Like those are the best albums because there are some that just like take you to a certain place. Like I really think albums have the power to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Where you kind of hear it and you're like, oh man, like I was doing this when I heard this, like or just kind of like it just takes you back to a certain time. Um, I'll always say like for me it's 2022. Honestly, never mind. I stay up the entire night to listen to that album, and I was just like, I gotta be up at work for like by 6. What am I doing listening to a dance album? I was just like, I want to do it. So it's just like it's just
Still haven't
it's just
listened to that again.
I picked the one album that Savon is like, I do not like that.
Only one song. The last song
Jimmy
was a Jimmy
Jimmy
Cooks or
Cooks. Jimmy
yeah, Jimmy
Cooks.
Cooks. That's on fire.
Crazy. Crazy work. But I do think overall with this album, it's just one that, like you said, it's his prime. It's the one where you can just tell that okay, this is like what made him kind of a separator and a trailblazer for
Mm-hmm.
what he was able to do with this project. Getting to our next review, which I'm gonna be fully transparent. I haven't heard this album yet. I have not heard Big Sean's album yet, but I am going to.
I've heard it.
You've heard it, I want you to give your review on it, and when next week I'll come back and give my personal.
That's the first time this ever happened, ladies and gentlemen, that Wellington, who does the topics, has not done or listened to the topics. This is like that. That's a me thing. That's a definitely a me thing. I'll forget. or I won't listen to this in its entirety, and I'll just go based off the
Life, life,
songs that
life has been life, and life has been life.
life in. So
Right.
I'll this is okay. Nah, for real though.
It's professional.
What we talked about in the singles that he dropped, his like him being aggressive, he missed. He didn't do that. It was literally the same format he's done with every other album. And some of these
Is that
songs
the same as Detroit
were
too?
bro,
The same?
same format, bro. He got some catch try to get some catchy songs, but songs where he really like sunk his teeth in, like out of the 18 or how many songs was on this thing, man?
I
I
thought it
was
was
like,
like
bro,
21.
why is so many songs? Um, yeah, it's 21 songs. Out of those 21 songs, the skits he could have got rid of, but out of those 21 songs, probably six or seven songs were like really good, and all the other ones was like okay, like it was all right. Like, and they're putting Unk through it. I know Unk ain't breathed since 2020. Everybody got Charlie on their album, bro.
Like y'all, hey, guys, y'all need to let that man live. Y'all need to let that man live.
Unk ain't
Y'all
had a
have.
vacation in 3 years.
He's like, hey, guys, I know y'all love me. Let me get some time to myself, okay? I've been on a run since 2020.
Man, Unk been featured on everybody album, bro. And it worked though. This one worked. Like some of them, I forgot the last one we review when Charlie Wilson was featuring or he did the background stuff. It really didn't work, but this has worked. It was like him singing background, and it was a nice song. That song was nice, but it was
Hey,
just
hey,
like
so I'll say this from Charlie. I want to go back to it. I love that song. I was just like, Charlie just has this impact with songs. It's just like, oh man.
it's just that extent of it. Ooh, bro. And but you got to use him correctly. Some people don't use him,
Yes.
and they let him do too much on a track. Where you can't let Unk do what he wants on a track. You got to direct him because he'll ooh wee to death, boy, or he'll like do too many runs. Like, bro, keep it simple. But I think in this one, this track, it did it justice. Like he had one like a Coachella track with oh man, it just went off way with Thundercat and Aaron Allen Kane. Black Boy really didn't like it. The one with him and Kodak and Bryson Tiller was all right. It wasn't like bro. It wasn't. He missed. We wanted a hip hop aggressive album. He gave us the same album that he always does, and like 6 or 7 songs were really good. The rest were like blah. The skits you could have did without. They really didn't bring no substance. Like he missed. Same thing that we get for him all the time. So I'm curious if you're gonna feel the same way when you listen to it. So that's my take on it. It was just underwhelming. What we expecting because we had expectations because what he did before, and he definitely didn't do that on this album.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
not the news I wanted to hear from this because I've been hearing some people say a lot of good things about it. But and I also did hear that Dochi she released a mixtape today.
About to
So
go listen.
yeah, for sure.
She
That's
fire,
just
bro.
OJ is tough, man. Absolutely tough. I did also want to say, did you see the Maxwell Tiny Desk concert?
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
I
I heard
know
he
it's
did his thing.
good.
I
Pretty
heard he did his
like he
thing.
got some bangers, man. And I want to hear him live too. And oh, I'm gonna see if he still got it. Especially woman's work. Oh, you got it. Oof. That's not even his song. Like
Not
he
at all.
took her song and just killed it.
Um, Tank also said he was in the news. He said that Chris Brown is a better vocalist than Michael Jackson. He doubled
Absolutely.
down. Oh, so you believe that?
Yeah. Bro, Mike had one pocket. Screaming.
That is true.
Mike
He
didn't
did do.
run. Mike didn't do runs. Mike could like obviously he could harmonize with himself. Like we seen that, but like, bro, Mike was a like if he didn't dance and like his songs were fire because he knew how to construct and get songs, but vocally, Chris Brown got him. Chris
I
Brown
was.
live,
Oh
huh?
yeah. Live is insane. But I was about to say, how is Chris Brown able to put together so many songs and and like so many songs for an album, and it's just like the majority of them you want to revisit? Because I was thinking about
Bro,
1111, and I was just like, yo,
he
I first listened to that full transparent. I first listened to to that album like when I was on a work trip, 3 or 4 in the morning. I was like, bro, this
mm.
album is good. Like
Mm-hmm.
listening to it this early, I was like, bro, this album is, I'm barely awake, but this album is so good.
Barely awake.
Like this album is really good, and he has so many like so many pockets that he goes into. Like I'll listen to it. I'm like, okay, if I really want that real R&B, I'll go to Moonlight. I'll go to
Mm-hmm.
you know, Feel
Oh.
Something. It's just like I'll go to certain songs in it where I'm like, oh man, like yeah, he's in that pocket. And then Angel, the intro, and Ten Toes. He knows how to start an album too. There's just
Oh,
so many things.
absolutely.
There's so many things that he does where I'm like, and then if you want the island like reggaeton vibes, he's gonna give that to you,
Yes.
or the dance hall. Like he's going to go into different pockets. So yeah, man, Chris is
Bro.
Chris is different.
Also, you gotta understand, he's been in the game for a long time. He knows what he's doing. He knows
Yeah.
what he's really good at, and he's not afraid to test the waters, and he's good at testing the waters. Only thing bad about Chris Brown's career was the Rihanna thing. That's it.
Mhm.
That's the only thing bad. That's the only thing you can say about his career. And he
That's
came
the one
back.
major blemish. That's like okay,
Yes.
that was a major red stain.
But like, bro, we know the full story, but obviously you're not supposed to hit a woman, but like we know
Yeah.
the full story of that now.
Hmm.
So, but he came back from that. Normally, no people don't come back from that.
I was about to say like that's kind of wild that he was able to come back from that
And he gave us
years.
a fire album. That's when Look At Me Now was in there. I Should Have Kissed You was on there. Like, bro, he was so low budget. He shot I Should Have Kissed You on the beach. And then he came back and was like, he's on features. Like, bro, you only major blemish was that. But him to be able to come back after that, which is a career killer, and still be one of the best vocally, he got Mike for sure. I think he's a better dancer, a better performer. To be honest with you, Mike had his tenure. Obviously, there's always going to be somebody better than you. People don't want to say Mike. To be totally honest with you, Washcon was a better performer. Prince,
Oh goodness, about to go there.
bro, we could go like we don't have to go there, but Prince was a better performer. Prince played every instrument. Prince throwing down the house. People love Mike because he knew how to make songs for everybody. That's the only thing Prince didn't do. Prince didn't make songs for everybody. Mike did. Mike's
Prince
songs can be
Mike.
played. Yeah,
Prince Mike is Drake Kendrick. Prince Mike is Drake
absolutely,
Kendrick. I've always said
absolutely,
that it is Drake Kendrick. It's the one where
absolutely,
people are like, "Well, you could say Kendrick's a better artist, but Drake knows how to
absolutely,
make every song." This is 2.0 of this generation.
absolutely.
That's what I've always
That's
said.
spot on, brother. That's spot on, brother. Because
Always, always have said it.
they had beef back in the day. They didn't really like each other.
At all. And then I saw, and leading to it again, because I mean, we're talking about him because every week this guy is releasing something new. Every week there is something new that's being released. So we're not
Oh,
talking
Drake.
about him just because like, we just want to talk about him. He's decided to just make 2024 his like most like, you know, um pack filled year in terms of releasing music. But he did another 100 gigs part two. We got No Face,
We got what we was
Playboy
looking for.
Cardi. We did it. This was the three pack. This was the one. Circadian Rhythm and SOD. Um, man, No Face is the one. No
That's
Face,
what I was looking for.
absolutely. It's the one where I can just sense that um he's like, yo, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back outside here, and I want to let everybody know that I saw how you guys. I just love how we talked about how I'm so glad all you guys for so many years who really weren't cool with me were just able to say that you really weren't cool with me. And that's what he was able to do in this. He was just like, it was full fledged. Um, I am just ready to make a. I'm just ready to set the record straight for everything. You know, KD is saying like, hey, like, what are we waiting on? Like Chubbs is like, man, like let's go for it. Everybody in his camp is saying like, hey, like it's time to come back outside, and that's what he did with that song. And I think Circadian Rhythm, which is I'm close to No Face and Circadian Rhythm being my top two. But Circadian Rhythm is like an incredible. That's the one he just released on Spotify tonight. But that song is love that song. What did you think about these three new tracks? You said it's what you were looking for. The first three were kind of like so. But what did you kind of think about these new three?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about any other besides No Face. That's what I was looking for. Him just going crazy. Obviously, we knew the hook was going to be No Face, No Face. bro, just catchy, man.
Yeah,
But that's what I was looking for. Him to talk about the situation, him to talk about what's to come. Like he was like, bro, it's far from over. And that's exactly what I was looking for him to say. Like, bro, I allowed him to have his run. But guess what? Your run is not my run. My run is long, brother. Yours is just a small stint. Like you had your run for a couple months. We haven't
yeah.
heard from Kendrick after that. Think about it, bro.
I do want to I do want to say that because it's just like you have to you know if we're talking about album to album and if there's a run where Kendrick and Drake drop an album on the same day, and this goes back to like which I don't think it's gonna happen. But what I'm saying is like it's one of those things where Kendrick, you got your biggest hit ever off of Drake. It was off of Drake. It was off of you making a song about exclusively about Drake and why everybody should stay away from him. And so like when you do that, when Drake sees that, he's like, okay, like the honorable thing is to give me the loot. like the
Give it
honorable
a
thing is
look.
to give the honorable thing is to give me the credit because because when he started like that and everything came from that, it was just like, okay, everything is circulating around centering hate around me. So when you do that, it blows up because everybody wants to talk about that. And so when that happened, I was just like, okay, that Drake is like he's calculated and he's like, hey, I am going to play the long game and I'm going to be doing this. I'm like that was a short stint. That was a short little 2 month run. Um, but I don't think some people said Kendrick has influenced the way. Like somebody on Twitter says Kendrick has influenced the way I listen to Drake, and I just want to be like, you're in a small
that's
boat. You're
bro, that's
just
wild.
like the I can't say that because even when I look back at Meet the Grams, you had a whole verse that was just not even real off of something that wasn't even true, and so that takes away like in the moment I'm like I remember like listening to that in the moment I was just like yo there's no way this happened twice. Like there's like in the moment it's a in the moment song it's an in the moment diss in the moment you're like there's no way this happened
Yeah.
again and then afterwards you're like oh
Oh,
so
okay.
you're just lying the whole time and Drake was like really like that's that's what this is. I mean if we want to talk about
And then
lies then
and then you
I'll
had
just
a double back because it was a lie.
yeah
But yeah,
there were some misses on Kendrick's part. There were some misses.
for
We don't want to talk
sure.
about that but there were some misses.
Absolutely. But people only care about they're not like us. They're not like us. It's a
Yeah.
catchy song. It's really catchy. It's really, really catchy. Great song. It hit so many
and
marks. But
people will
man,
be and people will be yelling no face very soon very soon.
absolutely. But this is why I feel like Drake is a better overall artist. The man can like Drake is popular from January to December.
Everybody pull up your Spotify raps. Everybody pull up your Spotify raps and you'll see that he's in your top five as always.
January to December, bro.
Yeah.
And we're talking about this is a longevity beef. We talked about this. And if they drop the album, and I hope one day they do this just to settle it. This is the ultimate settle. Like you really think you better than me? Let's drop our albums on the same day. I bet. I bet Drake murders Buddy. I
I
bet.
was listening to a Twitter space last night. There's a group of like Drake fans and there's like an OVO community, and they were talking about one of the guys said, I think at this point I think Kendrick would outsell him, and I was like, whoa.
What?
I was like, do you know? I still think the cachet that Drake has is just like, it's out of here. It's just out of here.
Bro.
There's no way I would ever think that Kendrick could come close to outselling Drake numbers wise. Even we saw with CLB and Donda with that whole battle and like who's gonna do this, who's gonna do that. Like no, it's just different. Like no matter what stage of Drake's career he's in, he's going to outsell you. Like that's always gonna happen.
His market is different than Kendrick's. Kendrick market is this. Drake market is this, bro. It's like it's big, bro. The boy is the boy is worldwide. Not saying Kendrick isn't worldwide, but Drake is known everywhere. Drake can sell out Africa. Drake can sell out Saudi Arabia. Bro could go anywhere and sell out. It's a different market, bro. Like we're like, yeah, man. But I think him doing gigs was always in the picture because he started releasing music on Instagram during the beef. But I always think that was the option he was going to go to this year to start releasing music that way. I mean, bro, just doing different stuff. Bro, just now instead of like going to Apple Music or whatever, we're looking to go to this page. Not all the audience is directed to this page. He's making
Yeah.
money off this page. Now we're
What
in
do
tune
you
with this
think?
one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but what do you think is like in terms of him like constantly like releasing music on Instagram and different things like that? Um, there have been like so many people saying, okay, he eventually wants to like um do a release music just completely different, not even like do it the traditional way, which I could see one day Drake doing that, but I do think he cares about numbers as well. Um, so I would say that'd be my first question. Do you think one day he would do that? And also, do you think like, that eventual like red button diss track that he said he always had, I don't know if that will ever come, but it almost
And
feels as though he's just like, man, I feel as though there's just something he's waiting on that he knows that he has in the tuck when it comes to Kendrick. And it may be him feeding the, the false info to Kendrick's camp. I don't know if that's the next amount of footage, but it seems as though like this leading like releasing all this content is leading up to something.
man, I don't think we'll ever get that because if it does exist, like bro, like I feel like we're talking about two countries who have mass. What they say, weapons of mass destruction. Like if
Yeah, because
these
I mean, like
weapons, if
that
this,
was yeah. This compares to kind of like what he said about the Pusha T one about. So it almost feels similar to like we'll never like hear it.
I don't think he has one with Kendrick. I think it was easier to have a red button,
The push.
diss track with Push because there's a lot of things you could find out about him. But Kendrick, he ain't squeaky clean, but I mean he's already said the most of the things that are like there's known and unknown. So I don't think he has a red button diss track for him. This is going to be a longevity beef for sure for him to show people like, all right, bro, you had your little stint. I feel like he still out rapped Kendrick. I just feel like Kendrick was more strategic in what he dropped and when he dropped. He dropped his atomic bomb at the tail end. Drake just dropped his at the beginning. I still believe that. And I do think Drake could have returned the fire with the same type of track, but he was like, bro, are we okay? We going, I don't want to, we always go back to
Yeah,
the
I
beef.
don't want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
eventually, I think that's going to be the last thing. They're going to have to drop on the same day. Because again, Kendrick had his run. He did his Friends concert. Plus, to have an album dropping here shortly. We haven't heard anybody talk about Kendrick since then.
Yeah.
Non-existent. Guess who they're talking about now?
Yeah. So it's all Drake.
Drake. Drake, ladies and gentlemen. Only for a stint. Drake is popular. Even in the disc, he was popular. He's popular January through December.
And
Kendrick,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It was a short snap. We could go on for this as I mean as long as possible. But I do think with this new content being released and just different things, it is always interesting to see like what are the next move for Drake. What is he gonna do going forward? So I probably bet that I still can't wait for the Drake and Party Next Door album. That's honestly like I'm still kind of looking forward to that because I do think that's going to be some incredible music.
I hope. I hope it's
Even
good.
and I'm like don't even like just leave the beef alone and just like give us that like classic like R&B album with Party. That's honestly what I
Bro,
want at this point.
the songs they made together can be an album, but I just hope it's bro, I just hope it's good. I'm just gonna leave it there. I just hope it's good.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna have no expectations for it.
no
I just hope it's
expectations.
good. I just hope it's good.
Absolutely. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back with our Deadpool and Wolverine review.